Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind howling around you, the sky stretching endlessly above. Below you, the world is small, safe, predictable, ordinary. But above is the unknown, the unforgiving, the place where most never dare to go. That's where the eagle thrives, not because it's lucky, not because it's fearless, but because it chooses to rise when everything else stays grounded. You see, the eagle doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't look for an easier path. When storms roll in, other birds hide. But the eagle, it spreads its wings and lets the raging winds lift it higher. It doesn't fight the storm, it uses it. And here's the truth you need to hear. You have the same choice. Right now, in this moment, you can cling to what's safe, what's comfortable, what's expected, or you can step into the storm and let it propel you to heights you've never imagined. Think about it. The eagle doesn't start at the top. It doesn't wake up one day and suddenly rule the sky. It learns. It falls. It fails. But every time it falls, it doesn't stay down. It doesn't accept defeat. It flaps harder, pushes further, and rises again, because the eagle knows something most don't. The ground is not its home, and neither is it yours. You were not built to crawl. You were not meant to settle. You were designed to soar. So why are you still acting small? Look at the way an eagle hunts. It doesn't chase. It doesn't rush. It watches. It waits. It locks onto its target with absolute focus. No distractions. No hesitation. And when the moment is right, it strikes with precision, with power, with unstoppable force. That's the mentality you need. Not reckless speed, not aimless motion, but calculated intensity. Because success isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one who sees what others miss and seizes it without apology. And here's the hardest truth of all. The eagle doesn't fly with the crowd. It doesn't follow the flock. It goes alone, not out of pride, but out of necessity. Because greatness isn't found in the comfort of the group, it's forged in the solitude of the climb. If you want what few have, you must do what few will. You must be willing to stand alone, to think differently, to move when others stay still. The eagle doesn't fear the fall. It expects it. It knows that every descent is just preparation for the next ascent. And that's the mindset you must adopt. Failure isn't your enemy. Comfort is. Every setback, every rejection, every moment of doubt is just another gust of wind. Will you let it knock you down? Or will you spread your wings and let it carry you higher? The sky is vast, limitless, unforgiving, but it's also where freedom lives, where power is claimed, where legends are made. The question isn't whether you can fly. The question is, will you? Or will you spend the rest of your life looking up, wondering what could have been? The choice is yours. The sky is waiting. The eagle doesn't see the sky as some distant, unattainable ceiling. It recognizes the atmosphere as its natural domain, a vast expanse where the rules of the ground don't apply. While other creatures limit themselves by what's directly in front of them, the eagle perceives possibilities at distances that would blur into nothingness for lesser eyes. This isn't just about physical vision, it's about mental perspective. Most people operate within artificial boundaries they've either accepted from others or imposed on themselves, invisible barriers that say this far and no further. But the eagle mentality shatters these imaginary constraints. It understands that what we call the limit is usually just the edge of our current comfort zone, not some fundamental law of nature. Consider how an eagle approaches flight. It doesn't waste energy flapping constantly like smaller birds. It masters the currents, using them to ascend with minimal effort. There's profound wisdom here about working smarter rather than just harder. In your own life, are you exhausting yourself with constant motion without meaningful progress? Or are you, like the eagle, strategically positioning yourself to let natural forces amplify your efforts? The winds that ground other creatures become the eagle's greatest advantage. Similarly, the challenges that overwhelm most people, economic shifts, industry changes, personal setbacks, can actually propel you forward if you learn to harness them rather than resist them. The eagle's relationship with altitude reveals another crucial truth. Elevation changes everything. From just a few feet higher, patterns emerge that are invisible at ground level. Opportunities reveal themselves. Threats become obvious long before they're dangerous. This is why developing your own eagle vision is so critical. Not just looking, but seeing. Not just hearing, but understanding. When you train yourself to perceive the bigger picture, to detect subtle shifts in your environment before others notice them, you gain an almost unfair advantage. Most people are so focused on the immediate that they miss the approaching storm or the emerging opportunity until it's too late. But you, if you adopt this mindset, will see what others don't, prepare when others won't, and act when others can't. This perspective fundamentally alters how you approach obstacles. Where others see impenetrable barriers, you'll recognize temporary currents to navigate. When people complain about unfavorable conditions, you'll be identifying how to use those same conditions to your benefit. The higher you rise in your thinking, the more clearly you'll recognize that what looks like resistance from below is actually propulsion waiting to be harnessed. The sky isn't some unreachable ideal. It's your natural habitat if only you'll stop thinking like a ground dweller and start seeing like the predator that rules the air. Every challenge contains within it the very energy you need to rise above it. Your job isn't to avoid the wind, but to use it. The eagle's solitary nature isn't about arrogance or isolation. It's a deliberate strategy for survival and supremacy. While flocks of birds cluster together for perceived safety, moving as one chaotic mass, the eagle chooses a different path. It understands that true freedom and power come from the ability to move independently, to make decisions without committee, to change course without needing consensus. There's an important lesson here about the price of conformity. When you surround yourself with those who think like everyone else, move like everyone else, settle like everyone else, you inevitably limit yourself to their altitude. The eagle doesn't hate other birds. It simply refuses to be constrained by their limitations. Your greatest ideas will often come in solitude. Your boldest decisions will frequently need to be made alone. The moments that define your life's trajectory will almost always require you to stand apart before you can rise above. Consider how eagles mate. They don't flock together randomly, but carefully select a single partner to soar with at their same altitude. This selectivity extends to every aspect of their existence. They don't feed on whatever scraps are available like pigeons in a park. They wait for the right opportunity, then strike with precision. In your own life, this translates to being ruthlessly selective about what and who you allow into your sphere. Every relationship, every opportunity, every commitment either lifts you higher or weighs you down. The eagle doesn't waste energy on what doesn't serve its ascent. Neither should you. When you start treating your time, attention, and energy as the finite resources they are, you begin to understand why solitude isn't loneliness. It's the ultimate luxury of those who refuse to dilute their potential. The paradox of the eagle's solitude is that by standing apart, it actually develops greater strength to contribute when it matters most. Its independence isn't selfish. It's what allows it to be truly powerful when needed. There will be times when you must separate yourself to find your true capacity, not because you're better than others, but because you owe it to yourself and ultimately to the world to discover what you're truly capable of without the noise of the crowd. The higher you aim to fly, the more you'll need to cultivate this ability to be comfortably alone with your thoughts, your decisions, your company. This is where vision is clarified, resolve is hardened, and the mental muscles required for greatness are developed. The eagle doesn't apologize for its solitude. It understands this is the price of the perspective it gains from flying where others cannot follow. The eagle's razor-sharp focus isn't just a skill. It's an entire way of being that separates predators from prey. Imagine an eagle soaring hundreds of feet above the ground, its eyes locked onto a single target amidst a landscape of endless distractions. Rabbits dart through brush, fish ripple the water's surface, rodents scurry through fields, yet the eagle ignores them all. It understands that true success comes not from seeing everything, but from seeing exactly what matters and pursuing it with relentless precision. This is the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who merely stay busy. Most people scatter their attention across countless trivial pursuits, wondering why they never make meaningful progress. The eagle knows better. It channels all its energy into a single decisive strike. This level of focus requires more than just discipline. It demands an almost spiritual clarity about what you want and what you're willing to sacrifice to get it. The eagle doesn't debate whether to pursue the rabbit or the fish. It knows exactly what it hunts before it ever leaves the nest. Can you say the same about your own goals? Too many people approach life like tourists at a buffet, sampling everything but truly savoring nothing. The eagle's approach is surgical. Identify the target, eliminate all distractions, and commit completely. There's a reason eagles don't hunt in packs. Real focus can't be achieved by committee. Every moment spent seeking consensus is a moment the prey gets away. Notice how an eagle never wastes energy chasing what it can't catch. If the target escapes, it doesn't exhaust itself in futile pursuit. It recalibrates and waits for the next opportunity. This is the essence of strategic focus. Knowing when to act and when to wait, when to push forward and when to conserve energy. In your own life, this means developing the wisdom to distinguish between what's merely urgent and what's truly important. The focused mind doesn't react, it selects. Like the eagle scanning the terrain from its perch, you must learn to observe more than you act, to think more than you speak, to wait for the perfect moment, rather than settling for the immediately available. This is how ordinary effort transforms into extraordinary results.
The eagle's relationship with failure reveals one of nature's most profound success strategies. What appears to be falling is often the necessary preparation for flying higher. When a young eagle first leaves the nest, its initial attempts at flight aren't graceful ascents, but rather chaotic tumbles toward the earth. This isn't failure, it's education. Each downward plunge teaches critical lessons about wind currents, wing positioning, and recovery that no amount of theoretical knowledge could provide. The eaglet doesn't interpret these stumbles as proof it can't fly, but as necessary steps in mastering the sky. Your own setbacks contain this same transformative power if you have the wisdom to view them through the eagle's eyes. Most people see failure as the opposite of success, when in reality, it's the essential curriculum. The ground isn't your enemy. It's the springboard that propels your next attempt higher than the last. There's a reason eagles build their nests on cliffs, not for safety from predators, but to ensure their young must either fly or face consequences. This deliberate exposure to risk creates an environment where growth isn't optional. Comfortable nests produce weak flyers, while challenging circumstances forge mastery. Your most difficult moments, the rejections, the mistakes, the plans that didn't survive contact with reality, aren't evidence of your limitations, but invitations to develop new strengths. The eagle doesn't waste energy regretting its falls. It uses the momentum to rise again with greater understanding. This resilience isn't innate, but cultivated through repeated exposure to difficulty and the unwavering belief that the sky still belongs to those willing to keep stretching their wings. The eagle doesn't waste energy competing for scraps when it can own the entire sky. While smaller birds fight over limited resources and crowded spaces, the eagle surveys vast territories from altitudes where competition doesn't exist. This isn't arrogance, it's strategic positioning. The highest achievers in any field understand this fundamental truth. True dominance comes not from battling for what everyone else wants, but from creating your own space where comparison becomes irrelevant. The eagle doesn't concern itself with being the best at catching rabbits when it can specialize in hunting snakes. It finds the uncontested niche where its unique strengths give it absolute advantage. Your path to exceptional success lies not in outperforming others at their game, but in defining your own game entirely. Most people spend their lives racing to the top of ladders leaning against the wrong buildings, while those with the eagle mentality build their own structures where they're the only ones climbing. The key isn't to compete better, but to compete less, to operate at an altitude where your natural abilities make competition meaningless. When you stop comparing your journey to others and start fully inhabiting your distinctive strengths, you don't just reach higher, you redefine what higher means. The eagle's most brutal transformation comes at midlife, when it must choose between clinging to what's familiar or enduring a painful rebirth. As its talons grow dull, its feathers heavy, its beak overgrown, survival demands radical reinvention. This isn't gradual improvement, but complete metamorphosis. Plucking out worn feathers, smashing towards the sun rising and die, shedding beak against rocks until a new one forms, tearing away what no longer serves its ascent. Your greatest growth will require this same ruthless commitment to shedding past versions of yourself. Comfort is the enemy of evolution. What helped you survive yesterday may be what prevents you from thriving tomorrow. The eagle doesn't sentimentalize its former self. It prioritizes future potential over present comfort. Most people plateau because they refuse this necessary destruction before creation, clinging to outdated skills, relationships, and mindsets like security blankets while their potential atrophies. True renewal isn't about adding more, but courageously removing what's holding you back. Even when it hurts, even when it's scary, even when the path forward isn't yet clear. The wilderness between who you were and who you must become is where legends are forged.
The eagle's vision operates on an entirely different dimension. Where others see obstacles, it sees opportunities materializing miles before they arrive. Its eyes aren't just sharper, they're calibrated to detect the slightest movement across vast distances while simultaneously tracking the big picture. This is the mindset of true strategists, the ability to zoom in with microscopic precision while maintaining telescopic awareness of the horizon. Most people navigate life with their focus either too narrow, obsessing over immediate problems, or too broad, lost in vague aspirations. But the eagle mentality teaches us to hold both perspectives simultaneously. Your current challenges look different when viewed from higher altitude. What seems like an impassable barrier at ground level often reveals itself as merely a stepping stone when seen from above. Developing this dual vision means training yourself to spot emerging trends while others remain fixated on today's crises, to identify long-term patterns in what appears to be random noise. The future belongs to those who can see it coming earliest and prepare most thoroughly. not through psychic powers, but through disciplined observation and pattern recognition. While the majority reacts to what's directly in front of them, you'll be positioning yourself where the currents are flowing, not where they've already been. Elevates your perspective and the path forward becomes unmistakable, not free from obstacles, but clearly worth the climb. The eagle's journey teaches us that greatness isn't about perfect conditions or lucky breaks. It's about how we respond to the winds life throws at us. Those who adopt this mentality understand that every challenge contains within it the seeds of opportunity, that what appears to be resistance is often the very force needed to propel us higher. The sky doesn't discriminate. It's equally available to all who dare to spread their wings and claim it. Your current altitude isn't your permanent destiny, but merely a reflection of the choices you've made until now. The same winds that ground the timid become the launching pad for the bold. The same storms that frighten the weak become the power source for the strong. What separates those who soar from those who remain earthbound isn't talent or circumstance, but the courage to embrace discomfort as the price of growth. The eagle doesn't apologize for its power, doesn't minimize its potential, doesn't seek permission to occupy the space it was born to rule. Neither should you. The world needs more people willing to rise above the noise, to see beyond the immediate, to transform obstacles into fuel. Your higher self isn't some distant fantasy. It's waiting patiently for you to shed what's holding you back and finally take flight. The nest may be comfortable, but the sky is where you belong. Every lesson, every struggle, every moment of doubt has been preparing you for this ascent. The question isn't whether you're capable of flying. The eagle's blood runs through us all, but whether you're finally ready to act like it. The eagle doesn't beg for permission to rule the sky. It takes flight and lets its shadow announce its arrival. That's your final lesson. Not hope, not wishful thinking, action. The world below will always try to convince you that the ground is safer, that the climb isn't worth it, that you should be content with crumbs when you were built to hunt horizons. But deep down, you already know the truth. You were never meant to live small. So, here's the choice laid bare. Stay perched on the edge of comfort, forever wondering, what if? Or leap. Let the fall teach you what the nest never could. Let the wind rip away what no longer serves you. Let your wings remember what your spirit already knows. You are not meant to be caged. The sky doesn't care about your past, your failures, your fears. It answers to movement, to courage, to the relentless beat of wings that refuse to quit. So what's it gonna be? The eagle doesn't wait for inspiration. It becomes it now. Rise.